It's pretty wild to think that one of the biggest, most spectacular business blunders in modern history, a mistake that cost literally billions of dollars, all came down to a single moment, a moment of laughter. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible fall of Blockbuster Video, and trust me, the real story is even crazier than you remember. $50 million. Let's just put that number up there. Picture it. The year is 2000. And $50 million is the price a tiny, struggling DVD-by-mail company is offering to sell itself for. Their target? The undisputed king of home entertainment. For a giant like Blockbuster, this was pocket change. So what did the king do? How did they respond to this offer? Well, according to the founders of that little startup, the executives at Blockbuster headquarters, they literally laughed them out of the room. That little startup, of course, was Netflix. And that laugh, it would turn out to be the most expensive joke in corporate history. Okay, so let's be super clear here. This meeting, this whole $50 million offer, it wasn't just some failed business deal. No, this was a massive fork in the road. This was the exact moment that Blockbuster, without even knowing it, signed its own death warrant, all while thinking they were on top of the world. And to really get why they were so arrogant, you have to remember just how enormous Blockbuster was back then. I mean, they weren't just a company, they were a cultural institution. That iconic blue and yellow ticket stub, that was a fixture of every Friday night. They seemed completely invincible. Right, so here's a look at the empire they built, all based on physical brick-and-mortar stores. Thousands of them on street corners all over the world. They were the choice for family movie night, no question. But look closer at how they made their money. A huge chunk of their revenue came from something every single one of their customers hated, those late fees. And right there, that was their fatal flaw. So, into this world comes the Challenger with its now famous red envelopes. But here's the thing. Netflix didn't come into that meeting looking for a fight. They came with a brand new idea, a gambit, really. They proposed a partnership, offering to run Blockbuster's online brand for them. They actually wanted to join forces. And this just perfectly shows the clash of two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got Blockbuster, physical stores, paying for each rental, and those awful late fees. And on the other side, Netflix, a simple monthly subscription, DVDs sent right to your mailbox, a huge online library, and the absolute killer feature, no late fees, ever. They were literally solving the biggest headache of the entire rental experience. So let's fast forward. What happens after that meeting, after that fateful laugh? Well, the next 10 years saw one of the most unbelievable and complete reversals of fortune in business history. The little Challenger was about to take apart the champion, piece by piece. This timeline just lays it all out. It's brutal. 2000, the rejection. Just 2 years later, Netflix goes public, and now they have cash and momentum. Blockbuster finally tries to compete online in 2004, but they're already playing catch-up. And then, 2007, the knockout blow. Netflix launches streaming. It's game over. By 2010, Blockbuster's bankrupt. A decade. That's all it took to bring an empire to its knees. So the big question is, why? How did this happen? It wasn't just about missing out on a new technology. No, it was a symptom of something much, much deeper. Let's really break down the anatomy of this legendary blunder, because the lesson here is one for the ages. And it all comes down to this one word, hubris. Corporate hubris. It's that dangerous cocktail of pride and arrogance that makes a company at the top of its game completely overestimate its own power. And, more importantly, totally underestimate a scrappy competitor. It literally makes you blind to the future staring you right in the face. And here's exactly what that hubris looked like in practice. Blockbuster simply failed to see that Netflix was a real disruptive threat. They were just too confident in their old model, especially those profitable late fees. They refused to risk that revenue to innovate. They just dismissed the little guy, and it cost them everything. As our source material rightly points out, this isn't some one-off story. This is a classic post-mortem on corporate hubris. It puts the Blockbuster disaster in the same category as other giants who failed to adapt, like the old telecom companies that got completely blindsided by the internet. It's a pattern that just keeps repeating. So really, the big takeaway here isn't about video rentals or DVDs. It's a timeless lesson. It's about innovation, it's about arrogance, and it's about the incredible danger of thinking you're too big to fail, because history is just filled with the ghosts of companies that thought they were invincible. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question that this whole story builds to. Yeah, this happened 2 decades ago, but the lesson is more relevant today than ever. So look around. Look at the dominant companies of right now. Which one is so confident, so dismissive of the little guys that they might be on the same path? Who is today's Blockbuster?